Hello and welcome back to Car and Bike. I'm Bilal and this is a new episode of a new series called Chalk and Cheese, where we bring together two very different cars, but they share a common streak. One or more common streaks in fact. Now if you haven't seen the first episode, you should go ahead and watch it because it features a Tata Harrier and a Jeep Compass. Two very different SUVs with a very different buyer base, but they have a common powertrain. Now you should go ahead and watch it on our channel, or we'll leave the link to that video in the description down below. But let's come back to today's video where we have two different cars. On one corner we have the tried and tested Honda City, which is an institution in itself. And on the other corner we have the Japanese SUV which brought the strong hybrid to the masses. Now before you start questioning my rationality, hear me out. Now both these cars, they belong to the C segment. Both are Japanese, which means reliability and solidity. Both offer almost the same level of features, which we'll see later in this video. They are also priced almost exactly the same in this range-topping version that we have here. In fact, both the cars are different by just 60,000 rupees. With the differences aside, one is an SUV, one is a proper sedan. But which one deserves your money and your parking spot? Let's find out in the course of this video. But before we go ahead, do consider subscribing to the Car and Bike YouTube channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon as well so that you can be notified from all our updates from the world of car and bike. Now, like our first video, we'll be talking about both these cars across 5 different parameters. The first parameter being styling and road presence. Start with the Hyryder first, and it brings a very European styling to this segment. Now, in my opinion, I personally believe that the Hyryder is a better looking car compared to its Maruti counterpart. With its long bonnet, sleek LED bars up front, C-section design on the tail lamps, with the right amounts of cuts and creases throughout the body, and its dual paint job, it definitely gives it a lot of character. However, I'm sure you would agree with me when I say that a slightly taller girth would have done wonder for the Hyryder's overall stance. A taller body shell would not only have credited the Hyryder more street presence, but it would have also helped with the second row headroom, which we'll get to in some time. Otherwise, the long nose, squared off wheel arches, missing shoulder line, and upright tailgate with an uppercut at the tail lamp give the Hyryder a very unique silhouette. So if a road presence is important to you, this car ticks that box. It's not flamboyant, it's sophisticated, and among the sea of compact SUVs on a road, this one manages to stand out without being too shouty about it. On the contrary, when you talk about the Honda City, it feels like you are in a parallel automotive universe, where an SUV, of which you see a lot on the road these days, feel like a band of axes and hammers. The Honda City, it is more of a sleek katana blade. The long rounded bonnet, prominent chrome on the grille, unusual character detailing in the headlamps, that clean shoulder line and the contrast diffusers along the rear bumper makes the City look like a car for those who believe that nothing can replace a sedan. It effortlessly manages to grab a second look, especially in this range-topping ZX trim done in a very sophisticated silver finish. This one surely feels timeless. On the flip side, the ground clearance is one unwanted niggle any sedan owner has to face on our not so well paved out road surfaces. Now we know the obvious, an SUV lover, of which there are a plenty nowadays, would definitely go for the Hyryder with its taller stance and higher ground clearance. But there are still a few purists out there who prefers the elegant and the proportionate 3-box design of the Honda City. But which one are you? Let us know your preference in the comment section below. And next up, it's the cabin. And when you hop into the Hyryder, there are a lot of familiarities that you get from the Maruti Smart Bin. For example, touchscreen, the switchgear, even a lot of instrumentation and steering. It's all taken from the Maruti counterparts. But more importantly, It feels not a lot premium, especially you switch from the Honda City. But whatever you get here, it's well laid out. The ergonomics, it's good if not best. You sit not exactly very high, but you sit upright and you have a lot taller dashboard. And if I have to nitpick, I would say the rear visibility, it could have been better. And once you hop into the Honda City, especially after the Hyryder, there's a world of difference over here. Firstly, you sit quite low, so getting in is not the easiest, especially if you have knee problem or back problem. But once inside, you have a very ergonomic cabin. Now Hondas, they don't usually make a very flamboyant, flashy cabins with a lot of party pieces that you can show off to your guests. But what you get here is a very super sophisticated cabin with a very ergonomic layout. It might feel premium compared to the Hyryder, and it also feels built to last. And the next parameter has to be the second row comfort, because as we know, both these cars are family cars. And we start with the Honda City again. And one thing that the Honda City has always got going for itself is the second row comfort, more so in this generation because of its large dimension. Now yes, you do, when you sit in, you do sit quite low, and that would deter a lot of buyers, especially those with knee problems and elderlies in their family. But once inside, you have a lot of room to spare. The seats, they're comfortable, especially after a long day at work, and you have a very ergonomic space here. Now weirdly enough, you still don't get adjustable headrests over here in the second row, even when a car is costing so much. But when you sit here, the contours are so good, you barely notice the lack of adjustment. Now this row is made for those who prefer being chauffeur driven. Now one thing you'd immediately notice once you hop inside the Hyryder, especially after the City, is just how easy it is to get in. The seat height, it's fairly perfect, and once inside you'd notice that things are very different over here. Space, not a lot compared to the City, because in the City you have a lot of legroom, lot of headroom. Here it's just decent. One complaint from the Hyryder has to be the limited headroom over here, especially because the battery is placed underneath the seat, so the seat is slightly taller. You get that theater seating position over here, but the headroom is a trade-off, especially for taller passengers. As I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the exterior, a taller stance would have elevated more room here inside the cabin. But once you sit inside, the seat height, it's fairly good. The seats are comfortable, but overall, if you have to spend a long time here in the second row, you won't be complaining, especially because you have a large panoramic sunroof and a window which is large enough as well. And for the next parameter, we come to the practicality and boot space. Now on the practicality front, both cars are very practical. They have large door pockets, cup holders for the front and the rear passengers, and good cubby holes all throughout the cabin. But the trade-off where the things get a bit interesting is the boot space. Now both these cars are hybrid, as we have established, so the trade-off has to be the boot space because the batteries are placed underneath. When we come to the City, in a normal standard City, the boot space is over 500 liters. Here it is just little over 300. In comparison, the Hyryder, it offers you just over 250 liters of boot space, whereas a standard Hyryder, it gives you 370 plus. So when you buy a strong hybrid, you get a better mileage definitely, which we'll talk about in some time, but the trade-off is the limited boot space, be it the SUV or the sedan. And for the next parameter, we have to talk about the features that are on offer in both these cars. And we thought they might be very evenly matched, but are they? Now features like the panoramic sunroof, seat ventilation, heads-up display and 360-degree camera are available only in the Hyryder and not in the City. But the City, it punches back by offering level 2 ADAS, which is not available in the Hyryder. But apart from these features, both these cars are evenly matched when it comes to feature list, and they offer almost everything that is expected from these cars at this price point, mainly in terms of usability of these features. But which one would you prefer when it comes to features? Let us know your opinion in the comment section below. And for the last and most important parameter, we go under the bonnet and talk about the powertrain, performance, and in this case, fuel mileage. Now, both these cars, they offer you a 1.5-liter petrol engine powered with an eCVT and a lithium-ion battery pack. Now, the power figures are almost identical for both of them, but the way they are to drive, that's where the differences are. Sitting behind the wheel, the Honda City, it feels a bit more refined off the line. It's smoother and the transition from the EV to petrol is barely noticeable. Honda's hybrid system is slightly more mature and better calibrated. This may also be due to the fact that there you have a more balanced 4-cylinder engine, whereas the Hyryder, it uses a 3-pot engine. You also sit quite low with a very laid-back ergonomics. Meanwhile, on the Hyryder, it feels more robust behind the wheel. It has light and easy controls, and although it might not have the outright grunt of a diesel or the peppy nature of a 4-cylinder petrol, this hybrid, it has its positive when driving in the city. Be it making for the small gap overtake in the city or pulling away at the highway speeds, the instant torque from the electric motor is definitely appreciable. But there's one important factor that you have to remember about both these cars. Neither of them are very quick and a lot more dynamic. If you want that sort of a car, you have to look elsewhere because these are calm, efficient commuters, not pocket rockets. And then comes the fuel efficiency. With our tested figures, the Honda City here, it returned 17 kmpl in the city and an impressive 28 km per liter on the highway. The Hyryder was more consistent with 22 kmpl in the city and 23 kmpl on the highway. So if you're looking to buy either of the two, you can be assured that fuel station visits will be the least of your concerns. Coming back to the city, it rides beautifully on smooth roads. It feels agile, planted and surprisingly confident around corners. The steering is light but responsive. The suspension, however, is on the softer side, which means it doesn't handle bad roads really well. Speed breakers and broken patches need to be tackled carefully. But what comes as a surprise is the Hyryder is a much more fun to drive car behind the wheel. With more mechanical grip, the Hyryder is also more forgiving on rough roads. The suspension has a slightly firmer setup, but it soaks up potholes really well. You do sit a bit higher compared to the city, but that means a bit more body roll in corners, but the steering is predictable and easy at city speeds. Now that we have seen both these cars, an SUV and a sedan inside and out, we have seen how they are to drive and what mileage we got in our testing, which one is for you? Well, you should get the Hyryder if you want a high-riding car with a better ground clearance and more street presence. You also want a car with Toyota's badge value, and you don't mind missing out on the ADAS, but you want features like the panoramic sunroof, seat ventilation, heads-up display and a 360-degree camera. But you should go for the Honda City if you prefer a more premium car with a more premium cabin and a second-row experience which is more focused on a chauffeur-driven kind. You also don't mind the low ground clearance when you live in an urban area with good paved roads and you don't have family members with knee problems or elderly who don't mind the low slung stance of the Honda City. And finally, you should get the City if you want that timeless, classic 3-box design that will definitely age well. So at the end of the day, this comparison isn't about which car is better. It's about which car is better for you. Both the Toyota Hyryder and the Honda City take very different paths to offer a very similar goal: efficient, reliable and practical mobility. Only one's a tall, sensible and practical SUV, the other is a sleek, perennial sedan that's more suited for a second-row experience and a more mature audience. So at the end of the day, which one would you pick? A hybrid SUV or a hybrid sedan? Please let us know your opinion in the comment section below. We would also like to know your opinion about this new series Chalk and Cheese, where we bring together two unlikely comparisons. And what other car would you want to see featured on this Chalk and Cheese series on our channel? Do write them down in the comment section below and we'll happily oblige. But that's all from me in this video. This is Bilal signing off. Until next time.